Hello there, and welcome to the virtual world of Second Life. This is my avatar, Draxtor, and this is where he lives and works. And this is my physical self. For 2 years now, I have been, just like the rest of the world, dealing with profound changes to my everyday life as a consequence of the COVID-19 pandemic. The concern for loved ones who are immunocompromised, the feeling of powerlessness in regards to helping regions of the world more impacted by the virus, the constantly evolving and often conflicting guidance on behavior in social settings, all this has contributed to a general atmosphere of anxiety. But compared to many of my family members, friends, and colleagues, I realized my privilege in this crisis early on. I'm not socially isolated despite being on lockdown. I can send my avatar to work and to play. My globally distributed team carried on to produce digital art and commerce, fostering communities and facilitating global interactions, all the while feeling present through our avatar embodiment and the virtual place we collectively inhabit. In this film, I will explore how people of different backgrounds and geographic locations are dealing with the oppressive uncertainty of the pandemic and how the increased reliance on virtual worlds and multiplayer games to find companionship, a creative outlet, and a place of solace and contemplation have influenced and possibly modified behavior in ways that will stay with us beyond the return to so-called normalcy. Since April 2020, I've been capturing discussion groups in Second Life conducted by Professor Tom Boellstorff from the Anthropology department at the University of California at Irvine.
New social intimacies are actually happening online, right? Social distancing really means physical for most people. And for the folks who just came in, we have folks with hearing and visual impairments in the group, and so I will say everything I'm texting and vice versa. It's a great way to keep notes as well. So how is this different than before COVID? Because we have all been in Second Life, most of us, for a long time. So it's not like this is brand new. What's changing? Maybe that not much is changing. How do we think of distance when we're sitting together in this circle right now, right? Is there something that we can learn in virtual worlds that could be helpful for responding? You know, people talk about Instagram and Facebook, emailing, texting, all that stuff. But that's different. The internet is not one thing. Second Life has a steeper learning curve than video conferencing, Tanya says. But once you've climbed it, it's disinhibiting because in a sense, it's not really you in here. Wow, great way of putting it. Sometimes I wonder if I'm really me on Zoom too.
I didn't realize you're going to be recording today.
Oh, yes.
Are you serious?
Tom Boellstorff's research project, funded by the National Science Foundation, was not only to examine the use of Second Life, which has been around for 18 years, but actually compare and contrast SL via the ethnographic method of participant observation with Animal Crossing, New Horizons.
Whatever that is.
You are on all of the Slack channels around Animal Crossing, Drax, and when you get a chance, one of the main things we're putting in there is the amount of pop culture references to Animal Crossing is insane. There's a new thing of Hellman's Mayonnaise doing a food drive in Animal Crossing. I put up a couple things on that.
Hellman's Island, they said. Destinations in sight. They dropped off the turnip. What a great deed.
This open-world game, or social simulation game, or communication game, the category depends on who you ask, was released on the Nintendo Switch console just when the COVID pandemic started spreading across the world. For scientific purposes, I too, as a non-gamer no less, got myself a brightly colored island. It is my first game console. I never owned anything before that. No Sega Drive. No Wii. I guess it's unboxing time, as the kids call it these days. These guys want to know where I live in the real world. Alright. I was now ready to participate in both worlds, observantly that is, with Tom focusing primarily on Second Life, Two of his PhD students from UCI were tasked to examine the role of Animal Crossing in people's pandemic lives.
My name is Evan Conaway, and I am a PhD student in anthropology at the University of California, Irvine.
My name is Sandy. I am focused very much on Animal Crossing and looking at how people who play it or who just engage with the communities around it. How does it help or not help?
We've known this for a long time. There's a lot of stigma against people who are forced to rely on internet connection, and even people that desire to do it, that they want to do it, that for whatever reason, it's really just about people not wanting to interact with other people in person for whatever reason. It could be a number of things. I've seen people shaming other people for spending a lot of time in Animal Crossing. They're just like, what's the point? It's not really a game. You're just on an island by yourself. People don't really see the really powerful social functions that exist in the game, but also exist in all the paramedia outside of the game, like apps and Reddit and Tumblr even to this point, and Instagram. The community is bigger than just your own little island in the game.
Also the relationships they have with villagers. A lot of the attachments that people have with the non-player characters are just an outlet for the emotions that you can't put on other people in your life.
This leads into a world where we will be increasingly incapable of accepting a real person with real emotions that are not always super even-keeled.
I think you're equally underestimating people's ability to distinguish, but also overestimating what people are able to do now. I mean, it's very difficult for a lot of people to take on other people's emotions. That's already a reality.
I'm very culturally pessimistic in that regard. I know Tom is rolling his eyes, but...
Can you see my eyes rolling? Okay.
Yeah.
Sure
But don't you... are you not concerned about this? There's a world out there.
I'm an anthropologist. I'm interested in what people are doing and not rushing to judge it quite so quickly as you are.
All right, Tom. I will follow your lead and reserve judgment as we explore these new worlds.
By the way, if you, the viewer, feel things are moving a bit too fast, I encourage you to use the pause and rewind buttons. Are we ready to head into uncharted territory? Yes? All right, let's go.
I'm on an island in the Netherlands. I have only just moved here. I don't yet speak Dutch, so the only people I have any contact with is my husband, my Dutch teacher online, my family by Zoom in Australia, and my friends by Skype in the UK. I have reached the stage of knowing that I'm terribly lucky and terribly safe, but I can't function. I'm paralyzed. I can't write. Each task seems an effort. That's not like me.
I'm from Argentina. Here the information is not well because the government is with error. The people don't believe in the government. A critical problem because the people seek information in the web and not all information is correct.
How is the government handling anxiety? How are the people handling the anxiety about not knowing if they're going to get a vaccine?
The government is, they have no care about that.
My lockdown over here was a month of not being able to leave your property. Even if you wanted to go for a walk or go to the shop, you'd get stopped by police. And I lived in a van.
Why?
In November 2019, me and my boyfriend decided to give everything up because we're from the UK, jump ship to New Zealand. And we bought a van with the money we had, and that was our house.
Wow.
I think it was just nice to have a game like Animal Crossing, that complete change of scenery, and have a world where nothing really matters. It's more just, I hope my flowers grow.
What? My turn? Yes.
Yes, Miranda, yes.
Well, actually, I first wanted to just play it like a normal person, and I'm like, boring. So then I start taking shots, and they start looking like my character's moving, and I go, wait a minute, this is a great idea. And then that's when I discover the camera app on your phone in Animal Crossing. And I rule the world of movies now. I'm just going to make a short scene so you kind of get the point.
Okay.
Start on a really dramatically lighted shot to make people excited.
Observing my daughters, who are 8 and 10, playing on Animal Crossing. They play it in ways that I did not expect. Being a very achievement-oriented adult, I've always approached Animal Crossing as a kind of job. I run around and gather the fish and the bugs and pay off my mortgage. I'm living a second life there.
It's interesting because virtuality for me has sort of been a very formative experience. 7 or 8 was sort of when I really had internet access, because internet here took a while to actually get to broadband speed. 2012 was when we actually had proper broadband. My most formative friendships were all online, all people that I met that shared similar interests. A lot of my colleagues and contemporaries at work, we're now shifted to a work from home model. And I noticed that many of the protocols of what we as teenagers built up on these platforms, they seem completely alien for like a lot of people switching over suddenly or forced to switch over. A lot of people, like my team members among them, are having extreme difficulty. But also, I find that now on Fridays we call each other and go, hey, how are you doing? How was your week? Able to decouple important conversations from a lot of like the constructs of hanging out in meet space, and we're able to have more meaningful, focused conversations on certain topics.
Okay, why are you in a rope?
I had 7 meetings today and I just went, F it. Our social contract allows artists a little bit of eccentricity. So far, I've used it to get away with not dressing up for anything, whether it's meeting a minister or show up in a t-shirt and Crocs. I'm now going to push the boundaries a little bit further.
Hi, I'm Sarah. My last several YA novels have all dealt with some intersection between being a teenager and technology.
Teachers are burnt out. You know, my daughter's a high school teacher. She's totally burnt out. You know, she tries to make it engaging. I mean, I can't even imagine teaching little kids. Like, that must be so hard.
I'm currently teaching full-time in the writing department at Western Connecticut State University. When I teach several classes in a day, I'm absolutely exhausted, and I realized it's because I feel like I have to be so much more animated because I can't read body language. You know, when you're in front of a class, you can read the body language, you can adjust to the nonverbal cues that you're getting from your students, and I don't have that when I'm teaching online.
I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in music composition. My main day job has been as a substitute teacher with the San Francisco Unified School District, which I loved, really got into the hang of, was going at that for a couple months, 2 years out of my master's degree by this point, and the pandemic hit at, just a wonderful time for professional development. To paraphrase Mary Oliver, this is what I choose to do with my one wild and precious life. Time is not wasted if you are enjoying it, and living in pretend world has been the thing that has saved me during this pandemic. My little pretend squirrel friend, Marshall, decorates his house the way that I tell him to, and things actually are changing. The music that I'm writing, that I am toiling over, making sure, is it good, is it not good? I have that kind of proof-rock-like fear in the back of my head of, will it ever matter? Will anything ever come of it? It's nice to have worlds that you are such a large part of that you can see them change.
The possibility for serendipity, literally running into people and things in Second Life, those chance crossing of paths that often are the catalyst of all sorts of kinds of creativity, deeper understanding, etc. It's something that I know we're all really missing as we are physically separated, although I know it's good for my health to go outdoors. Quite frankly, around where I live, so many people who don't wear masks, it's made going outdoors stressful.
We're in a new stage with this pandemic. If you study the history of epidemics, They usually take 1.5 to 3 years. A lot of people who really need care are in a dire place right now because they're giving up on their regular care through fear of catching the bug, especially people with compromised immune systems having to decide, do I get the care I need or do I try to somehow do it myself? And I think a lot of people right now are in a place where COVID is turning from like a crisis thing to something that we have to live with. In anthropology, you can do comparative research and look at more than one place. Although we could have easily thought of 5 or 6 really interesting places, we had to strike a balance in a project that's only a 9-month project. There's a lot of gaming and gameplay and role play in Second Life, but Animal Crossing is more structured as a game. These are both virtual worlds that allow for a lot of creativity. One interesting difference between these two virtual worlds is that Second Life, you join for free, you can share land with someone, have your own land, you can also have no land at all. With Animal Crossing, everyone gets an island of the same size. And in Animal Crossing, in some ways, the island is extremely important to people. The island is more of their body than the avatar.
This area out here, it's modeled after the Getty Villa in Los Angeles when me and my fiance got engaged. I wanted to kind of recreate that on my island, especially since I had to postpone my wedding twice due to the pandemic. I was actually there yesterday, so I was looking at this little area going This is based on Expo Park in LA, so this is the Rose Garden.
I've never heard these explanations for all the stuff in your town. I didn't know so much if it was based on other stuff. But I've been here a bunch of times and just been like, oh, this is like a neat pool. Oh, this is like a garden shop.
Yeah.
Here's an organ, a pipe organ.
Oh yeah, almost forgot that I want to show you my concert hall. But first, we're going to cross this little bridge.
The way in which building an island and making it sometimes look like your own sort of physical world location can be really meaningful to people.
I like this a lot better than I like real Los Angeles.
Animal Crossing, the way to come together is outside it.
A Facebook group, a Twitter group, a Pinterest group, a Discord chat.
And Second Life, the way you come together is inside it.
Animal Crossing, it is your world. It is completely within your control. Whereas go to a sandbox on Second Life, somebody could be, shooting you with noodles, pool noodles.
We do not die.
We would never be able to do a giant music festival in Animal Crossing like we did.
The comparison between Animal Crossing and Second Life, you compare apples to a Lamborghini. I know this is very judgmental.
There's a little bit of bias there.
A better example is you're comparing a sandbox with toys that you've bought for the sandbox and what you have at the sandbox to a beach. You can dig a lot deeper on the beach than you can in a sandbox.
And on the beach, there could also be a guy who's stealing your clothes with all dangerous sharks.
While you're being assaulted by pool noodles, there you go.
That I think is the great example. A sandbox in your backyard is built typically by your parents. Your parents are the ones who buys the toys for it, and you get that experience that they provide. You still have fun in it.
I feel like Second Life people have much better computers than I do.
Animal Crossing people, they have no problem plunking down $390 for a thing that does one thing, while a computer can do 1,000,000 things.
For 1,000. See the difference? Second Life is so incredibly complicated, and I'm I know I have an engineering degree, but I don't want to relax by using all of my engineering degree.
Vente, Papa. I'm calling him.
Does he speak Spanish too?
Yeah, he say everything in Spanish. He say hi. He say good morning. He say he wants to go to sleep. He say come.
Hola, papá. Vente. Vente para acá. Vente.
the villagers, are they more difficult than birds? Do they need more attention than birds?
They only need attention once a day.
This is a very interesting point of difference that is really interesting. Villagers are incredibly important to people. For 100 years, anthropologists have been talking about how human cultures have dogs and cows and non-humans in them. And then ever since Tamagotchi...
Oh, and also, this is another thing that I always take care every day.
You have so many different children. What you need in Second Life is breedables.
My name is Damon Blackflag, and I create breedable pets in the virtual world of Second Life. I've played Second Life since 2004, I guess it was. I remember the first breedable I ever heard about, the bunnies. The only reason people talked about these things were the price the bunnies were going for. 50,000 lindens, some sort of, obscene number, $200, $300, I don't know. It's up there. Eventually, I kind of came into kitty cats. I think I was selling these black kittens for like 20,000 lindens and stuff. I was like, man, this is actually kind of cool. So I kept trying to follow, what's the next breedable gonna be? We're leaving it open with creatures. We create foxes, fawns, and now we're about to start with wolf, lion, and bear at the same time.
How did your experiences with villagers in Animal Crossing compare to your experiences of the breedables here in Second Life?
Well, the villagers have got a bit of an attitude and you'd like to smack them because they argue with each other and they come and complain to you because this one said this and that one said that.
And they always want. They always want things from you.
They're never happy.
Never.
It's babysitting, and it's like, I used to be a nanny in real life. The novelty worn off.
Another interesting comparison between Animal Crossing and Second Life is that Second Life has been around for 17 years. Animal Crossing is 11 months old.
I was in an academic panel about World of Warcraft and nostalgia and everything. The discussant talking about all of our papers in turn, and when he got to mine, he was like, I read a sense of desperation in your paper saying that these worlds are still alive, but we know that World of Warcraft and Second Life are basically dead. And I was like, it's not true.
Meg Sang, a friend from RL Woodbury University, argues that SL is dominated by baby boomer norms and that millennial sensibilities are often considered griefing.
I'm part of a couple of Facebook groups. It's actually hilarious. It's Animal Crossing over 25 because it's for older people. I'm 25 is not older, but the aim of the description is basically if you don't want to play with teenagers.
On the topic of the intergenerational divides, you have Second Life, which is a very diverse and very open collective of people. It just feels that some groups are, especially those who are older, are less accepting of more modern norms from younger audiences.
Yeah! Straight to the Warcraft, motherfucking CQ, huh? Straight to the punk police are not afraid of me, motherfucking team, huh? I'm on the warpath.
Whoa, this pilot looks a little shady. He does have shades on. Whoa, is this your island?
Yes.
Hi. So you have emo. You can wave. I cannot wave.
That's because you have to learn the reaction.
How do I learn it?
Oh, please, just get on with the island. Anyway, so
Oh, please, he will never learn.
That's your own problem. All right, Palace Tour.
There is a narrative out there that the goal of the internet is to connect and to network, and more friends and more tweets and more followers, more and more and more and more and more, and you're building a denser and denser web. And we're seeing all these cases of people going into Animal Crossing to be alone, to have a different kind of social experience. Sort of the opposite of the stereotype of what video games do.
people felt they were progressing towards something or having a sense of productivity because they were out of work or out of a job, find an accomplishment on their own terms. Some people make their islands and never show them to anyone because they just find that accomplishment and purpose for themselves.
People have told us in survey responses that Animal Crossing is a safe, positive psychological space. Loss or death, it's something that has come up in a lot of the survey responses. People have changed the ways in which they can mourn the loss of those that are close to them. And so people will often have a space on their island where they create memorials.
Last year, my father passed. 2018, I went to Venezuela to see my father for the last time because we knew he would pass. His heart being too big, really like a time bomb. I was talking to him over the phone, like talking about the situation, the food, the politics, and then tell my father, I will call you back at 1 so we can continue talking about because the conversation was really good. At 12:30, my mom called that my father passed.
My name is Sharon Sue. I'm a pianist. I live in California, and this pandemic has been really weird. I did initially try to just throw myself into practicing. I think I was in a state of denial, kind of operating this, I'm going to keep doing this until like I have my next lesson and I get a new assignment or like come up with the program for this concert. And that was kind of demoralizing. I mean, the reason why I'm a performer is because it's something I need to do, you know? It's not something that I'm just doing because it happens to be better than other things, because it doesn't.
This theme around mental health, that sometimes when you have a problem in life, you need to face the problem and deal with it. But sometimes you need to get away from it, at least for a little bit.
What?
I'm trying to find out where you are, dude.
At the airport.
Okay, so anyway, let me walk you around the island super quick. This is the president's house. I'm the gardener president of this island.
Why are there two guns on this flag, on this?
Because I have a shirt that's exactly like it.
Oh, wow, nice. See, here you have a guitar, you have a Strat, surfboard.
I don't know why I can't lie in my damn bed. I guess I can't lie in my bed when you're around, because maybe that's weird. Oh, here's my homie, Antonio, if you want to say hi.
Hi, Antonio.
Like, he's wonderful. I love him so much. He's totally my cartoon boyfriend here.
He's a little bit into my face. I'm more shy. Do you live here, says Nate, and says, oh no, you're Draxtor. I heard you were visiting.
Yeah, they know you and they talk to you and stuff. It's pretty fun. Oh, hey, there's Chatters. Hey, how you doing, you sexy beast? He moved in a couple weeks ago. He's like, I don't really know if I want to come here. And I'm just like, you, move to my island now, do it. Like, I just screamed at him until I got what I wanted. Just like I do with all men in my life. You have to remember, my generation was brought up on the belief that we fix the problems, everything's fine. Like, under the Clinton administration, everyone's like, everything's fine. And then George Bush came around and then none of the energy grid got updated and none of the energy anything got upgraded. But he's just like, but mission accomplished, everything's fine. A lot of gaslighting growing up, right? And throughout all this time, what do you have? Aggressive marketing of video games because they've made money. Basically, they've been feeding us this stuff since we were kids. It's been coping mechanisms.
Lonely Ghost Ruby, arriving from Meliora.
Yes.
You know what my island is called?
Draxtoria.
I have to admit, I have been harsh with this game. I have to admit that it is fun to go there and look at Ruby from Meloria is here to play. Look at him.
Yeah.
Don't laugh, dude. You think this is a game.
This poem was addressed to my former therapist.
And he said something...
He was concerned about the time I spent in the virtual world. You know, that this is a game and that I need to be a part of the real world.
Tom would get upset at this.
Second Life is not a game. I've talked about it. It's like a soccer stadium isn't a game. You play a thing in it, right? That comes from Richard Bartle, that like the Pasadena Rose Bowl or a soccer stadium is not a game. You play a game in it, but you could also have a rock concert in it.
You know, and then my therapist talked to me about the screen generation and that I shouldn't become a part of the screen generation. And I'm like, you'll never see me at a restaurant looking at a screen.
It's a space, and Second Life is like a soccer stadium. It's not the game itself.
Because I don't actually eat in restaurants very often, so the odds of you seeing me at one are limited, and if I'm there with a human being, and I'm going to be interacting with them.
The production of art, music, painting, sculpture, all those kinds of things. It can be even more accessible and almost better in virtual environments. And by that, I mean things like museums or art galleries where you typically are going by yourself or with only a couple other people anyway.
The peel is absolutely gorgeous.
It's been an amazing, probably going on 6 months now here in Second Life.
Its manifestation in Second Life has not only given us a lifeline during the pandemic, the two things coincided, our closure for renovations and the pandemic.
We're going to head right across the hallway here. The Peel Gallery is where we tell the history of the Peel family and some of the other incredible things that have happened here in this building. This was painted in Charles Wilson Peel's 72nd year of life. I believe it was in 1822 that he painted this picture.
Second Life provides access to the vast community so full of creative people and curious people and learners and artists.
This is a near exact replica of the museum as it stands in its physical location, located in Baltimore, Maryland.
I was going to say to Tom that, like, I think about some of these careers where they've lost everything, and musicians is one of them. They can't go in front of a group anymore and perform, but they can in here.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us in this space. This is awesome.
And thank you everyone for coming.
How is the COVID era, this isolation and uncertainty, affecting your creativity?
I thought this would be beneficial, really. Sort of like my ideal writer scenario, right? Lock me up with enough food and internet access and you get
Exactly.
stuff. However, it's become very staggered, like time just slips.
I go long stretches with thinking about what to write and then getting into a panic of indecision about all the ideas.
Thinking about sort of what the placeness of the virtual worlds brings to the table in this environment. The sort of playful side of it, I think, is still really underutilized.
This makes me honestly quite happy that, because I don't want to drag people into something that they reject.
I can't get out of this pose now. I'm not sure what to do.
Oh, there you are. I can see you. Oh my god! So if I'm floating, can I move myself, or am I just floating now?
No, now you're basically animated by the system that Fiona put in here.
Oh my god! I love my parrot.
We had these systems for decades. We've had efficient voice over IP. Most of these systems are far, far better than these teleconferencing software we have. They're also richer. Sure, you can go out to the pub and have a beer. That kind of gets old. You can have a beer while fighting a dragon.
I have no friends outside of Second Life, as sad as it is to say, but I'm also very content because the friends I've made are some of the most powerful friends I will ever have. Todd and Lane here have helped me through some of the toughest times in my life. During the pandemic, we've used our skills to essentially bring the club for Zona up to what it is today, as an outlet for our creativity.
Welcome to today's Digital Cultures Pandemic Chat.
We appreciate the invitation. We appreciate having you guys here.
Today's topic is identity. Who we are as people is never outside the worlds in which we live, where Second Life can sort of shift things up because so many of us now are, still in some kind of lockdown. We're still in the middle of this epidemic. How might this whole dynamic help us in some way or not?
One thing I've actually found, it's helped me keep my sense of identity. It's helped me keep a sense of who I am as an individual as opposed to changing any of it. It's helped me recognize certain aspects of myself I would only have recognized were I out and about and talking to friends and, mingling amongst people. So it's provided a bit of an anchor.
I was really, really an extrovert when I was growing up, but then I went in the military, and I honestly don't even know what happened, but I came out of there with some serious panic disorder and stuff, and it's pretty much got me house locked. I wasn't really able to feel like myself again until I got into virtual worlds, kind of representing myself with an avatar and stuff, and there were some things about me that I was always kind of scared to do. I was scared to be very creative in front of people. I don't know, coming in VR, I've actually built up the confidence to be able to put on events and doing musical performance in front of people.
I am actually quite new. Coming from Minecraft, I felt at home when I joined Second Life. I met a lot of really good friends on here, and it kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do in life. For example, I want to be a computer engineer, and I met so many people who I would have never met anywhere else, able to really show me what I can do potential-wise,
One thing I've noticed when it comes to people gathering in Second Life, I've seen people who are multi-generational gaps interact with each other just fine and be able to connect on a personal level.
That is actually a really awesome thing that Nini mentioned. I myself, I am 23. We're all able to commingle in this space as if, there is no such thing as age, and we're all able to work together.
Once a year, I drive down to San Diego, or I go to Palm Springs and walk around there. I kind of live right in between. When I can't right now go places in real life, I do have Second Life.
In Second Life, my name is Angelica. I run an open place on the mainland called The Retreat. I still have a real life. I'm a teacher. Second Life is like a social life after work.
I love to take photographs in Second Life. To me, it's art.
People have lots of different situations, depression, anxiety. Here, it's okay. You are not going to be judged. We're here to heal together.
group of us were doing an event a few days ago, and we met this 0-day-old noob. She wanted cat ears, so I ended up helping her. We tried to make some out of Prims for a little while, and then I noticed some really inexpensive ones on Marketplace. I sent those to her. She liked them, but she didn't like the color. Took over 3 hours to finish
Yeah,
this.
over the years, I've helped quite a few newbies. They're very appreciative, but 99%, yeah, they have no money. So oftentimes I've ended up taking them to a store and giving them some lindens.
What I thought was so interesting about the playfulness is that even when it was long and tedious and not actually, so to speak, fun, we were in a sandbox making and manipulating and creating colors and textures. That's just so far away from what happens on a platform like Zoom. You don't have that presence and interaction.
The avatar body really matters, but it matters differently. What's the difference between different hair, different clothes on an avatar, some wings on the back of your avatar versus a different size? Because Second Life is so open-ended in how you can make your avatar. But being a tiny isn't just about the avatar, it's about this cafe, it's about this island, it's about this group of Raglanshire.
Raglanshire is a cluster of 7 sims and the ancestral home of the tiny avatars in Second Life. Tinies have a whole culture of their own, and it is the culture even more than the incredible cuteness of tiny avatars which attracts many to the community. Tinies love to have fun and be silly, and even more important, they care about each other. Tinies emote a lot. This can be disconcerting to guests if they have not been warned in advance. The same applies to the tiny river dance. Tinies break out in river dancing as well as applause at the ending of events, sort of an all-body cheer. Raglanshire. Come for the waffles, stay for the community, and the waffles.
There's another kind of engagement that happens from being given basically a toolbox, like Second Life or Minecraft or even Animal Crossing. You move up in a sense, but not really. It's actually quite open-ended, and the creative stuff people are doing in Animal Crossing, it's interesting to me about that your kids are attracted to that open-ended creativity side of it, not just the more game-oriented.
Well, I think the open-ended part often goes hand in hand with a social component. You make things that you want to share with somebody else, or you want to build something together. Whereas playing like Among Us, which is the current heroin, crack, meth, the kid video game world, that they're just like banging out one game after another.
I think what's happening now is this sort of desire to retain agency. I mean, isn't that exactly what certain interested parties on the planet want for us? Don't they want to give us bread and circuses while they hop into their luxury submarines and wait out this thing they call the event with their private armies? I mean, this appears to be fairly well documented.
Don't forget the bunkers. Don't forget the bunkers, Peter. Nice prepper bunkers, fully stocked.
So you've got this inherent inequality in society to begin with, but now it's exacerbated. This acts as a perfect mask or a disguise for the powerful to go wherever the hell they want, to flout whatever rules they want. Essentially another layer of impenetrability between accountability and the people in power. Because everybody's stuck home. The pandemic has acclimated, it's habituated us to this kind of contact. We are essentially all in Animal Crossing.
You have to have spiritual strength to move on. As a coping mechanism, it at least builds up that spiritual happiness that allows you to survive a really hard time, all right? I'm worried! My entire generation is tens of thousands of dollars in debt, and nobody wants to cancel the debt because that means people of color will actually get relieved of debt and be able to do things again. Ah!
The word that comes to mind when I think of Animal Crossing is pacifier. Makes them content with their lot. And I say this with a certain amount of hypocrisy because you're talking to the guy who can't seem to go a day without diving into virtual reality. I may be a hypocrite, but at least I don't delude myself with Pollyanna bromides about the healing powers of cartoon animal capitalism.
Being in that land of, oh my God, the problems, that creates hypervigilance. That's not a healthy way to live. I'm hypervigilant AF, and I wish I wasn't. I wish I could just exist in the world and go, wow, people want to be friends with me. This is great, as opposed to, wow, someone wants to get close to me. How do I destroy them? Like, that's my brain. When you're in that red zone all the time, it makes you an emotional mess, all right? It's all about emotional management. Sometimes you just gotta eat a cheeseburger.
The world drains you, and I have to be at a certain level of peace and a certain level of feeling like I have some kind of power and agency before I can have the brain fuel to make anything. But if I play Animal Crossing for way too long, I've still kind of not done anything all day, but I feel like I'm a human being capable of productivity, and then the next day I feel like I was capable of fixing that weird part of my river in my Animal Crossing town. So maybe today I'm gonna be capable of writing some music or applying for grant assistance or something like that.
Why do you need Animal Crossing to reflect or calm down? Why don't you do some yoga? Is that too hard?
Because Animal Crossing quiets the screaming in my brain. Those yogis have 30 hours to go and clear their minds. I got 2 hours. You get someone to cover your deadlines for 30 hours. Have fun with that.
There's been a lot of activism around Black Lives Matter since the killing of George Floyd in May 2020. There's a big movement of solidarity that's been expressed in virtual worlds and games in many different forms.
I think for a lot of people, it felt like this is one of the most productive things I can do because it's something that I'm already entrenched in mentally. It's easy to put an image of you wearing a BLM t-shirt and as your avatar online. And one, it's divorced from you in some ways. So your face isn't attached to it in a lot of ways. But at the same time, it is a powerful statement. I have been following a little bit activism in games. Early on in my research, I was studying LGBTQ gamers in World of Warcraft. And one big thing that I was looking at was the Pride Parade that happens every year on the Proudmoore server in World of Warcraft. There's often mass media coverage. A different journal every year picks it up and they're like, look at this crazy thing happening. They're having a pride parade in the game. It's been happening for so long. Animal Crossing was, again, this is just timing. And the capacity for people to create things in the game.
You meet all these people, like you can meet all these people, right? Because it's not like geographically restricted. Like if I walk down the village street in Germany, like I will meet villagers.
Guter holt's aus, und am schlechten ist nicht schade, ja, Peiko, jetzt noch mal erst drei Ohren, und dann schauen wir weiter, aber schnell, denn wir haben unsere Zeit ja nicht gestohlen, ja, du Hunds, Boas Hunds, soll ja mal noch was werden.
It clusters around language. In the Facebook groups that I'm in for Animal Crossing, most of the people are American. And then you get a lot of like people from like other English-speaking places, right? Like you get a lot of people from the UK, from Australia. A lot of people lurk. If you are in a group that's like dominated by Americans, you might feel like uncomfortable, like contributing something because you might feel like you don't know enough.
It was like a year ago, I guess. I started Animal Crossing page. People start joining. They grow so much. I have to get more admins and mods to help me with the page. One of them wanted to be politics related and Black Lives Matters. which I support, but I didn't want to bring all that to this Animal Crossing family friendly with children's and everything in. And they harass me. They want to be owner of the page because they already have 5K members. And then basically that's what they do. I was scared to lose my job because they were talking about me and saying stuff and, harassing, saying that I was racist.
I have 2 stepdaughters, and the other one that we haven't talked about yet is big Animal Crossing fan, but is anything but docile outside of that.
This is the Mies. She's supposed to be getting interviewed for this thing as well.
She is focusing on Indigenous issues, and she's quite active and passionate about that stuff.
But I think she's going to wuss out. Millennials or kids or wwhatever they are these days.
Gen Z.
Gen Zs, yeah, you just can't count on their word anymore.
You do need to address the charge, Peter Watts' charge that this is keeping us docile.
In Brave New World, nobody forced anybody to take Soma.
Brave New World, written by Aldous Huxley in 1931. What is Soma? Soma is a drug that is handed out for free to all citizens of the world state. Soma makes people feel good. In large doses, it creates pleasant hallucinations and a sense of timelessness. When citizens experience strong negative emotions, they take a Soma holiday to distract them from the unpleasant feelings.
I don't think you require a totalitarian surveillance state to co-opt the video game industry to make a drug called Soma. I think the market demand is there.
I don't know. I don't take it that seriously, I guess. I'm just kind of like, it's a game. Like, it's not that deep, bro. That's my perspective on it. But yeah, like I'm saying, most people I know who play this game are very justice-minded.
All right, Bill. Why do you hate the physical world so much?
Don't. Just think that it's not the only world, My name is William Prensky. I founded and run an organization called Chantnewell Development Group, LLC, and we create virtual world spaces for higher education, secondary education, and business and industry for training, learning, and development.
What differentiates what we do from many other iterations of distance learning is that we are virtual worlds learning. Social and emotional learning, which is a connectedness between human persons, is essential in order to ensure that people will want to go on, continue to learn, and to teach others and to move knowledge forward.
In both worlds, not simultaneously, but intermixing them so that you get to know people and then you get to also spend time with them physically, and it creates an intimacy that is more powerful than either one alone.
Almost 1.7 billion kids and young people are at home. And it was not possible for these young people to use their energy to actually learn things, connect to people, to become really harmonious people in the world. This is Tuncer Can from Istanbul University Cerrahpaşa Faculty of Education, and I'm a lecturer at Faculty of Education English Language Teaching Department.
You probably also get accused, maybe now more than ever, that you guys wanted a situation like that where everybody's just in front of a screen. You technologists, this must be your heaven.
No, this is not heaven, because nobody said that technology should replace everything. It should be complementary. The human being needs to be relaxed to learn something. We all know that under stress we learn nothing. I had one student whose voice I've never heard in my life, and instantly when we had this comparative education class, he started using all his experience, and he said that this anonymity that Second Life allows, nobody looks at me. I started sharing. Communication and of course interaction, the way they know it. From 3D video games, they went into the Second Life more. They had real people talking to them rather than just passively sitting down and watching television. Some of my students shared pictures from live concerts because they knew that this existed previously. These types of social events made Second Life visible again in the pandemic period. The variety that the technology brought into learning and teaching during the pandemic is actually what is going to stay with us. The military type of learning and teaching is also going to be erased, I believe, because people learned that there is another way possible too, to learn in your own time and to learn in more relaxed environment.
If you look at the world of K through 12, kids of that age need face-to-face personal relationship with other people, but many of them are feeling awkward. It's an awkward time of life. And there, if you gamify it,
You're using the term gamification to making something playful rather than making it where you win something and you get a badge.
we're not so interested in that kind of gamification, which really trickles down from the corporate world. The gamification that we talk about is making the interactions something which is palatable and which the student wants to do on repeated basis because it's what they like to do anyway and they do it with their friends and it's individuated. They're comfortable in that atmosphere. The reward system in what we think of as gamified education is how much fun can I have acquiring the knowledge? How much can I do it with friends? And those friends could be all over the world.
I was expecting with COVID that we would get a lot more activity in Second Life. In March, they closed down the campus, everything went remote. People had no idea what to do. They'd never done remote before. And so I immediately sat down and said, well, we have Second Life. These are the different activities we have, gave them a list and said, contact me if you need help. Nobody contacted me, but all of a sudden all these students started showing up. My name is Greg Perrier. I'm a retired biology professor from the Northern Virginia Community College and emeritus faculty there. I actually live in California, not in Virginia, but I manage their Second Life program for them. First 2 weeks, it was total chaos. The students were standing in front of the screen. We had to put up instructions how to use the camera, how to zoom in on screens and stuff like that so they could sit back. You just got to make it easy for the professors. First, if it's not easy, they're not going to do it. They have an issue. Campus was closed. I couldn't do my lab. I need to do a makeup. Hey, I got an easy thing for you to do here. Just give this handout to your students and they're going to go in and do it. You've done your makeup. The professor goes, love it. Thank you. So we have a forest here. These green signs, you probably can't read them, but they label the different trees in here. We tried to recreate as best as we could a forest that you would find on the campus in real life in Virginia. This allows students to collect data in the forest without ever going into the forest. By the end of a class, if they go for a whole semester in Second Life, they do have that feel. There's a person next to them, and they learn that they can chat with that person. They can IM to that person. This lecture's crazy. What do you think about? You feel like you're in the presence of a class, you know. 1969, I took a computer class in high school as a senior. People said, why are you taking a computer class? No one uses computers. That was 1969, you know. This is the point virtual worlds are at right now. All of our students will be working in virtual worlds when they're 30 years from now.
For me, I actually find that Second Life works great for that kind of improvisation. So for instance, my undergraduate class, I have a lecture hall and I show PowerPoints. I can actually do very much what I was going to do in the physical world. And sometimes we use breakout rooms. So sometimes they just use local chat and they actually build their research projects and like their sort of demonstration day stuff there. But it, in a sense, is like easier to mimic or replicate what a physical world class was going to be. We're sitting around a table and I have a whiteboard and it works great and they really like it. But anyway, just for all of these different reasons, I'm really surprised that there has not been a bigger uptake or bigger use of Second Life in education.
Remember that it's different populations that have to adopt it. And the first population that adopted Second Life was not the education community so much as it was large groups of people who either felt at risk or marginalized by society and found a home in Second Life. And from there, it spreads out. The longer that this goes on, it will establish itself very firmly in a new generation of users. And that new generation of users will go out into their world of maturity, their workplace world, their family world, and be expecting something a little bit more fundamentally immersive and creative. The wonderful thing about it is it's a journey. We're already saying that most of us started that journey here a dozen or more years ago. We're putting our feet on the path, and it's going to be fascinating to see where it goes.
When it first started, I was really stressed. Some of the students are special needs children. When we went on summer break, during that particular time, I don't know what administration did, but by the time school started, they did not have any, devices for the children. And the iPads did not arrive until I think it was late October. Then they were given out to the parents and they have no clue how to use them. It's frustrating to us as teachers because now we become IT persons. Not all the teachers have computer knowledge. For me, it's just what helped was Second Life because I knew how to do certain things, to figure out how to do the Google Slides. I snap a photograph in Second Life, and then I make postcards out of it and send it to people. And those things in some of my presentations for work, I have used Second Life pictures. And so they have seen them. Oh, wow, how did you do that? I said, well, that's a virtual world where I go to, and there I can create my own artwork. Let's see, I want snow, and, it's in the middle of summer. In Second Life, I can have snow.
Welcome, so this is my island. I'm going to be showing you around, and I hope you like it.
This is an international themed island?
Yes.
Coral Isles?
Yes.
Okay. Coral Isle, sorry.
Yeah. Here we are in China. I have a little cricket here, and also there's this Go set that Dad sent me through the Animal Crossing mail. And then over here is this gong that's just really fun to play. So this is my Chinese surname. I wrote the character in custom designs.
You have a lot of furniture.
I do. There's this also non-functioning shower stall that cost 110,000 bells, and it does not work. So it's very disappointing. This is the guest bedroom. It's for Dad and Mom, if she ever does play Animal Crossing, they can come over and sleep here. This is their favorite song, Bubblegum KK, so I have it playing. And alarm clock in case they ever wake up late.
Do you make the movie in here?
You can really make a movie wherever you want. Hello, my name is Miranda, and I love Animal Crossing because it lets me do things that I can't do in real life, like make movies.
Okay.
Start on a really dramatically lighted shot to make people excited. Have a short walking scene. Take one of the previously made animations to make it look smoother. When you go into album, you can add text.
I see. That's why you made her look sad.
Maybe change the angle a bit. And then when you go to album, you can see the sequence you've made.
That's so cool. Thank you. What island is this?
A studio. I spend a lot of my time here because I like making movies.
Okay. So you have to make a set from scratch to make a train?
Yes.
The illusion of a train.
This is what a fake train looks like. Now let's delete everything.
Draxtor, I made a shirt for you.
Where is that shirt?
It's in your inventory.
How do I access the inventory, Ruby?
You have to go to the custom designs app.
Oh my god, no way. Oh my god. Now I can finally visit Ellie.
I have arrived at the island. Oh my god! Look at this. Wow, Ellie, this is amazing.
Oh yeah, I didn't even ask to use your image. You can sue me if you want.
I do not mind at all. I'm a narcissist. Are you kidding me? This is King Kamehameha. Where did you get him?
When they added the art expansion to the museum, I got him from Red, the art dealer.
Oh, look, here's a van.
Yeah, I made an actual camper van.
No, this is amazing. So you sit inside and you can't get out.
You can only sit at the front in this van.
How long you lived in this camper?
9 months. We were on a driveway and the only power we had was from our power bank.
Could you not put stuff in the fridge in the house where you were on the driveway?
Have you ever seen the first season of American Horror Story, Murder House?
Speaking of the last owners, full disclosure requires that I tell you about what happened to them.
Oh God. They didn't die in here or anything, did they?
Yes, actually, both of them.
I've never felt more uncomfortable being in a building before. There was one day where we went in there. There was a door that went up to the attic. It was the smallest door I've ever seen. And when we went in there were these markings on the floor that were shaped like coffins and they had people's names written on. The guy that owned it, called Ian, we paid him $50 a week to stay on the drive. I'm trying to think of something I could compare him to. Maybe Freddy Krueger before he got burnt.
No way.
Yeah.
Some people may scoff at escapism, but I don't know if you're living on a freaking driveway of some mass murder dude whose name is Ian.
Yeah, no, he was a strange dude turning up during the middle of the pandemic and knocking on the van, trying to open the door, popping his head in like, hello. Oh, sorry, wrong bedroom.
I'm Jenny Odell, and I am an author. I was not allowed to play video games when I was growing up, so this is like a big deal to me. We didn't have cable TV. I feel like I know other people who grew up around the same time whose parents were a little bit, media purists or something. So it's very striking to me now, again, especially during the pandemic, to be experiencing that. And it's been making me think a lot about agency, like in these kinds of spaces. Going to Second Life and, for example, like visiting the oldest structure. It's a space that has a history. So the fact that, moment of like broad popularity had passed almost made it more interesting. We took this field trip to Second Life. It was really interesting to have to like say, follow me. And then they had to follow me and to go. And then I said, everyone has to turn their camera up to like, look at this thing. And they're all looking at the thing. That kind of like, spatial sense of like being near other people and experiencing something together. It demands your attention. Even though it's just on your screen, it feels like an immersive experience, even if you're not wearing a VR headset. Particularly because it's so much, user created content. So it's like, it's really unpredictable. You really could find anything, anywhere. It kind of takes away that fear of, not being on the right path, like not doing the right thing, not doing the thing you're supposed to do. It's like, oh, there's nothing you're supposed to do. And then I think it kind of like grows that muscle of like, okay, well, then I'm going to be curious and like, I'm going to make decisions about where I go based on what I'm interested in. If I don't find what I'm looking for, it's like not a big deal. You develop this sense within these spaces, and then you find that, well, I've been finding that throughout the rest of my day, I can kind of like hold on to that attitude in this way that has been really difficult during the pandemic. No one was telling us what to do. Like, that's what was meaningful. I realize the difficulty, especially for someone who hasn't had a lot of opportunities for failure, who got to where they got by walking a tightrope, or they feel that way. If you get that far with that mindset, asking someone like that to just drop it and not try to optimize things, I recognize the sort of like gravity of that obstacle. That's why it's so important to have either, like times or spaces or environments where that specifically make someone like that feel safe exploring. They need somewhere to learn that, and they need somewhere where that feels comfortable and fun. No one's watching them or grading them or timing them. That's part of the reason in my book that I put so much emphasis on public spaces. Within any game or virtual world, there's different reasons you could be using it. Even within the same platform or the same game, like you could have someone interacting in very different ways. Are you avoiding the rest of your life, or is it helping you look at the rest of your life differently? In in-person interactions, there's a vulnerability because you're there. And that vulnerability is kind of missing in a digital space because you can just leave. To me, that's like the one sort of risk, is like one would lose the sense of careful attention and vulnerability that happens when you're having a difficult conversation. Maybe spending too much time in digital spaces would make you get used to sort of parachuting out of a situation instead of like engaging with it.
A basic idea that we began with in this research was to reject that people go online simply to replace something they've lost, because you see new forms of social interaction, new kinds of behaviors and practices and beliefs, forms of creativity that can't just be extrapolated from the physical world. You just can't add the physical world and stir.
As I'm heading back out into that physical world again, more than 2 years after the initial digital cultures meeting in SL, our day-to-day lives on and offline are still very much dominated by the pandemic. What's stirring in the offline realm, opposition to a widely available vaccine by a vocal minority that is causing headaches among governments and deep anxiety among the general population, is most definitely present in online interaction as well.
We absolutely had no idea that the anti-vaccination kind of conversations would be as pervasive as they are. The idea that we restrict our freedoms for the sake of others is a common one worldwide. The details can differ, but the principle is very clear.
I personally don't think it's an exaggeration to say that we are witnessing a fracturing of society around fundamental questions of our relationships with each other. I mean, we can't even agree on a straightforward individual decision which would help everyone around us.
It's not only been the weaponization of uncertainty, but it has been the monetization of uncertainty. The use of these algorithmically driven platforms to monetize that uncertainty, that has given this uncertainty a kind of global reach that it would not have had otherwise.
Outrage culture. No wonder people want to escape into a nice, cozy alternate reality online. But isn't that the same thing?
Social interactions and contexts can really vary. Simply viewing going online as escape misses a lot. All of our language of social networking doesn't necessarily give us a way to think about the fact that people sometimes are going online to get away from other people, not to get more likes and posts and friends.
And as we have explored throughout the film, the availability of digital spaces can be re-energizing, unless, of course, they are merely used by the powers that be to pacify the working poor.
Rich people have mansions and they go to the beautiful beach, and poorer people have a mansion in Animal Crossing. replacing the physical could be shaped by people's accesses to resources, which is sort of what gets dramatized in a movie like Ready Player One.
A quick aside, I do not suggest, as some of my techie friends do, that replacing physical world interaction in private and professional situations is somehow the magic bullet to solve all challenges associated with living in these pandemic times. Tech will not save us, even if access issues are resolved, which is not likely to happen anytime soon.
You need some kind of device, internet or cellular access. You also need the knowledge how to use the technology. We are obviously in many ways way behind compared to questions of physical infrastructure, where there are debates about how much to spend and where to spend it, but the broad contours of what needs to be debated are well known.
While the research team's mandate was not to find definitive solutions to problems caused by deregulated late-stage capitalism, I do hope, as Tom does, that this film starts a process of reflection around these bigger issues. I certainly have strong opinions about how a just society could be achieved, where we offer more than just token applause to essential workers, where we do not leave disabled or older folks behind, where single mothers are not forced to fend for themselves, and where teachers are not pushed back into overcrowded classrooms with few resources. As a scary number of our fellow human beings choose to protest for their God-given right to eat at Applebee's without a mask, some of us actually prefer to spend our time imagining new possibilities for a community-focused coexistence. And we do that in virtual worlds, or social simulation games, a genre which, according to findings by Tom Boellstorff and team, has unique affordances that are very different from the ubiquitous method of online interaction referred to as social media.
There are two dominant ways of going online: networks and worlds. Networks are things like Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, that are about building networks, subscribers, likes, and those links are based on what's called content, right? And that could be image, video, text, a mix of them. The other genre is worlds, where you have a shared virtual place online and usually some kind of avatar body and interaction with people in that place, but also interaction with the place itself. What's really interesting, if we look at some of the negative effects of COVID around surveillance, anti-vaccination myths and things like that, they're happening almost exclusively in the network genre. There's something about the virtual world genre that is resistant to that kind of misuse.
Tom, I think you know what it is because we mentioned it before. It is these behavior-modifying algorithms that reward us when we post decontextualized snippets to trigger a dopamine hit that makes us feel good for a quick moment until we need another one.
It's very important for us to look at now, where Facebook has rebranded itself as Meta. We don't want to assume that it is inevitably the case that virtual worlds could never get used in that way.
Word. And so we shall spread the gospel of non-algorithmic interaction and work towards a metaverse of interoperable places that are interconnected and inclusive and accessible. We must act as a collective, but not like the Borg in Star Trek. Resistance to a commodified metaverse built on data extraction is not futile. It is necessary, not only for a fulfilling online experience, but to bring about a better physical world, because what we create collaboratively within the digital realm, the ideas that emerge free from pressures to perform for the algorithm, they do reverberate out into our offline lives, and they beg to be implemented.
Don't it seem strange to you that the sky is always blue? Palm trees neat and green, nothing much to do. And if the sun crawls out off the hazy sky, you wish you'd be somewhere else. You hear it on the radio, thinking about your patio. Let me explain. I'm caught the rain. I'm here to wash you sane. Let me come in and freeze your skin. This time I'm here to stain. Have you ever wondered why concrete so spotless dry keeps keeping it together like Lucy in the sky. And if the girl walks up and asks you how you've been, don't you act mysterious, 'cause you're the cutest guy the world has ever seen. Let me explain, I'm caught the rain, I'm here to wash you sane. Let me come in and freeze your skin. This time I'm here to stain. And if a girl walks up and asks you how you've been, don't you act mysterious, 'cause you're the cutest guy the world has ever seen. Let me explain, I'm caught the rain, I'm here to wash you sane. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na, yeah. Na 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 na, na 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 na, oh yeah. Na 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 na, na 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 na, na 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 na, oh yeah. Na 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 na, na na
Thank you so much for participating in this project. Really appreciate it. Ruby and I got you a little gift. I hope you like it.